My husband's family has a Thanksgiving tradition. Every year, they gather at the old family farmhouse, cook a massive feast, and then they vote. I didn't understand what they were voting for until my third Thanksgiving with them, and by then, it was too late to leave. If you've ever felt uncomfortable at a family gathering, if you've ever sensed that something was just wrong beneath the smiles and small talk, this story will make you never want to attend another holiday dinner again. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to hear more stories like this. I met David at work 3 years ago. He was charming, successful, seemed normal in every way. His family, they were picture perfect, wealthy, polite, always dressed like they'd stepped out of a catalog. When David proposed after a year of dating, I said yes without hesitation. My first Thanksgiving with them was intense. 23 people packed into this beautiful colonial farmhouse that had been in the family for generations. David's grandmother, Margaret, ran the show. She was 92, but sharp as a knife, watching everything with these pale blue eyes that never seemed to blink. The food was incredible: turkey, stuffing, 3 types of pie. Everyone was laughing, sharing stories, playing with the kids. It felt warm, safe, like I'd finally found the family I'd always wanted. Then, after dessert, Margaret stood up and rang a small silver bell. "It's time," she announced. Everyone went quiet. The children were sent upstairs. The adults gathered in the living room, forming a circle. I looked at David, confused, but he just squeezed my hand and whispered, "Yeah, it's just a tradition, you'll see." Margaret produced a wooden box, old and worn. Inside were folded pieces of paper. She passed the box around, and each person drew one. When it got to me, David shook his head slightly. "Not yet," he mouthed. "Next year." I watched as everyone opened their papers. Most were blank, but one person, David's Uncle Robert, unfolded his to reveal a single word written in red ink: chosen. Everyone applauded. Robert smiled, but his eyes looked terrified. Robert died 2 weeks after that Thanksgiving. Heart attack, they said. Sudden, unexpected. At the funeral, the family seemed sad but not devastated, like they'd been expecting it. I asked David about it once. "Don't worry about it," he said. "Uncle Robert had a good life." He understood. Understood what? My second Thanksgiving was similar. Beautiful meal, warm conversation, children sent upstairs. The box came around again. This time, David's cousin Sarah drew the paper with chosen written on it. She started crying immediately, begging, "Please, not me. Please, I have kids." Margaret's voice was gentle but firm. "We all have people we love, Sarah. That's what makes the tradition meaningful. You know this." Sarah died in a car accident 3 weeks later. Single vehicle, drove straight into a tree at 60 miles per hour. No skid marks. The police said it looked intentional, but the family insisted she would never do that. At the funeral, I pulled David aside. "What the hell is going on? 2 years, 2 deaths right after Thanksgiving?" He looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Cold, almost reptilian. "It's not what you think. Just trust the family. You'll understand at the next Thanksgiving." Third Thanksgiving. I didn't want to go. I told David I was sick, that we should skip it. He wouldn't hear it. "You're part of the family now," he said. "Margaret specifically asked for you to participate this year." The meal was the same. The small talk was the same. but I couldn't eat. My stomach was twisted in knots. When the children were sent upstairs and the box came around, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the folded paper. I opened it slowly. Blank. Relief flooded through me. But then I realized someone else had drawn Chosen. It was David's mother, Patricia. She was only 58. She didn't cry like Sarah had. She just stood up, hugged her children one by one, and said, "I'll make it quick." That night, after everyone had left, I confronted Margaret. "What is this? Why are you killing your own family?" The old woman looked at me like I was a child who didn't understand basic math. "We're not killing anyone, dear. We're ensuring prosperity. This family has thrived for 200 years because we understand sacrifice. Every year, one member gives themselves to the land, to the house, to the legacy. In return, the rest of us prosper. Businesses succeed. Children are born healthy. Accidents are avoided." "That's insane," I whispered. "Is it?" Margaret smiled. "Look at your own life. Since you've been with David, haven't things improved? That promotion at work, your mother's cancer going into remission, your brother's sudden financial success? All connected, dear. All because you're part of us now." I thought back. She was right. Everything had improved. "Patricia will take her own life within the month," Margaret continued. "It's always their choice, how and when. But it must be done. And next year, you'll be in the box too." Patricia died on December 15th. Pills. The family held a beautiful funeral. At the wake, David whispered to me, "See, it's not murder. She chose. She chose because you made her feel like she had to." "No," he said calmly. "She chose because she loved us. Because she understood that one life for the prosperity of 23 others is mathematics, not murder." I tried to leave him, packed my bags, called a divorce lawyer. But strange things started happening. My car wouldn't start. My phone kept dying. The lawyer stopped returning my calls. Every door I tried to walk through seemed to close. Then Margaret called me. "Fighting it only makes it worse, dear. You're part of the family now. The land knows you. The house knows you. You can't leave any more than you can leave your own shadow." This past Thanksgiving, I sat in that circle again. 22 people now, after Patricia. The box came around. I drew my paper with trembling hands. Blank again, but David's sister Emily drew Chosen. I watched her face crumble, watched her plead, watched Margaret explain, patient as always, why this had to happen. And the worst part? A small, terrible part of me was relieved it wasn't me. Emily died 2 weeks ago. Drove her car into a lake. They say she was texting while driving, lost control. But I know the truth. Next Thanksgiving is in 3 days. I'll be in that circle again, drawing from that box. The odds get worse every year as the family gets smaller. And I've started to understand why some people, when they draw Chosen, don't even fight it. Because the alternative is worse. The alternative is living with the knowledge of what you're part of. Living with the guilt of your prosperity being built on someone else's death. Living with the understanding that you'll eventually draw that paper. And when you do, you'll have to make the same choice. Die to protect everyone else, or refuse and watch the entire family suffer. David says the tradition has kept the family strong for 2 centuries. Maybe he's right. Maybe that's what it takes to build generational wealth. to ensure your children never struggle, to create a legacy that lasts. Or maybe we're just monsters who learn to smile at the dinner table. I'll let you know what I draw this year. If you don't hear from me by Christmas, you'll know. Would you participate in a tradition like this to ensure your family's prosperity? Or would you try to run? Let me know in the comments. And remember, some families have secrets that go back generations. My grandmother's Thanksgiving turkey was legendary. People would beg for invitations to her dinner. Food critics offered her money for the recipe. She always refused. I found out why last year when she asked me to help her in the kitchen. Some recipes aren't meant to be shared. Some ingredients aren't meant to be named. If you love disturbing food horror, hit subscribe. This one will make you think twice about that next family meal. My grandmother, Eleanor, was 93 last Thanksgiving. She'd been making her famous turkey for 70 years, and every year it was somehow better than the last. The meat was impossibly tender, falling off the bone. The flavor was complex, almost addictive. People who ate it once would dream about it for months. I'd always wanted to learn her secret. As her only grandchild who showed interest in cooking, I'd been asking for years. She always said no, but last October, she called me. "I'm getting old," she said. "Someone needs to learn the recipe. Come early on Thanksgiving. 4 a.m. Don't tell anyone else." I arrived at 3:55 a.m., excited and nervous. Grandmother was already in the kitchen, wearing her old apron, ingredients laid out on the counter. But something was different about the setup. There was no turkey, no raw meat of any kind. "Where's the bird?" I asked. She looked at me with eyes that seemed darker than usual. "We'll get to that. First, you need to understand the history." Grandmother told me the recipe had been passed down through our family for generations. Her grandmother taught it to her, and her grandmother before that. It originated in the old country during a time of famine and desperation. When people are starving, she said, that they make choices. Terrible choices. Our ancestors made one such choice, and it saved the family, but it came with a cost. The recipe demands something specific, something that can't be bought in a store. She pulled out an old leather journal, pages yellowed with age. Inside were handwritten notes in languages I didn't recognize, alongside detailed anatomical drawings that made my stomach turn. "Every year," she continued, "I find someone who won't be missed, someone who's already close to death usually. I make it quick. I make it painless, and I use every part, nothing wasted. That's the rule." I laughed. I actually laughed, thinking it was some kind of dark joke. "Grandmother, you're saying you kill someone for Thanksgiving dinner?" She didn't laugh back. 37 people, over 70 years. "I keep a list." She showed me the list. Names, dates, brief descriptions. Homeless man, pneumonia, wouldn't have lasted the winter. Terminal cancer patient, 3 months to live. Drug addict, overdose was inevitable. I felt bile rising in my throat. "You're insane. I'm calling the police." "With what evidence?" she asked calmly. "The bones are ground into stock, fully dissolved. The organs are processed into the stuffing. The skin is crisped and served as the turkey skin. By the time our family finishes eating, nothing remains but satisfaction and compliments." I tried to leave, actually made it to my car. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way she looked so calm, so certain. Maybe it was the realization that I'd eaten this meal for 28 years and loved every bite. Or maybe it was the fact that she'd said, "Find someone," present tense. meaning she hadn't done it yet this year. I came back inside. Who were you planning to use? She smiled, sad but understanding. There's a hospice facility 2 towns over. I volunteer there. I've befriended a man named Robert. Stage 4 everything. Sedated most of the time. In constant pain. He told me last week he's ready to go. No family, no friends, just waiting. That's still murder, I said. Is it? She asked. Or is it mercy with purpose? Robert dies either way, within days. But this way, his death means something. He becomes part of a celebration, part of a tradition, part of our family in the most literal sense. The logic was horrifying but somehow compelling. I found myself nodding along, and that scared me more than anything. I can't do this, I said. Then the tradition dies with me, she said simply. And you'll spend the rest of your life knowing what you've consumed, knowing what made those meals so special, knowing that you're made of 37 people whose names you'll never learn. I don't know why I agreed to go with her. Some sick curiosity, some need to see if she was actually serious. We drove to the hospice at dawn. Robert was awake, barely. Grandmother held his hand and talked to him softly. About peace, about purpose, about how his suffering was almost over. She gave him something. I don't know what. He smiled, grateful, and closed his eyes. 3 minutes later, he was gone. What happened next? I can't describe in detail. I won't. But I'll tell you this. Grandmother worked with the precision of a surgeon and the efficiency of a chef who's perfected her craft over decades. Nothing was wasted. Everything had a purpose. By 2 p.m., a turkey was in the oven. It looked perfect, smelled incredible. You'd never know. The family arrived at 4. 20 people, all praising grandmother's cooking like always. My mother, my cousins, their children. Everyone eating with joy, complimenting every bite. I couldn't eat. I just watched them. Watched my family consume a human being and call it delicious. Grandmother leaned over during dinner and whispered, "Next year, you'll need to find Robert. Someone who needs mercy. Someone who won't be missed. And you'll make the choice I've made 70 times. Or you'll tell everyone the truth and watch this family destroy itself with horror and guilt." That was a year ago. Grandmother died in March. Peaceful, in her sleep. At the funeral, my mother pulled me aside. She told me, "You know the recipe," she said. "Will you make the turkey this year?" Everyone's expecting it. 20 people waiting for that perfect meal, that tradition, that taste they've been craving for a whole year. I found my Robert. His name is actually Thomas. Terminal pancreatic cancer. 2 weeks, maybe less. In agony, despite the morphine. He told me yesterday he's ready, that he's tired, that dying alone in a hospital seems like a waste. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. I have everything prepared. The herbs, the spices, the equipment. Thomas doesn't know the whole truth, but he knows enough. He knows he won't suffer anymore. He knows his death will serve a purpose. And I keep telling myself that's enough. That grandmother was right. That mercy and murder can somehow coexist when the outcome is the same. But here's what keeps me up at night. I'm already thinking about next year, about how I'll need to find another Robert, another Thomas, about how this will be my life now, year after year, choosing who lives and who becomes dinner. And the worst part? I'm already perfecting my own variations on grandmother's recipe. Could you make that choice? Mercy or murder? Where's the line? Comment below. And maybe think twice before complimenting your host's cooking too enthusiastically.
For the past 6 years, my family has had an extra guest at Thanksgiving dinner. We set a place for him, serve him food, make conversation. The problem is, he's not invited. We can't see him. And we have no idea what he wants. But if we don't feed him, someone dies. This story will make you count the people at your dinner table very carefully. Hit subscribe for more paranormal horror. 6 years ago, I was driving home with groceries for Thanksgiving dinner. The roads were wet, visibility was poor, and I was running late. I took a turn too fast, and I hit someone. A man, mid-30s, wearing a brown jacket. He appeared out of nowhere, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. He went up over my hood, hit the windshield, fell to the road. I slammed on the brakes, jumped out, but he was gone. No body, no blood. No evidence anyone had been there at all. I searched the area, called out, checked for over an hour. Nothing. Eventually, I convinced myself I'd imagined it. Stress, bad weather, playing tricks on my mind. I continued home and finished preparing dinner. That evening, we sat down to eat. Me, my wife, our 2 daughters, and my parents. 6 people. I said grace, and we started passing dishes. My daughter Emma, who was 8 at the time, suddenly asked, "Daddy, who's that man?" "What man, honey?" "The man sitting next to Grandpa. The one in the brown jacket." We all looked. The chair was empty, but Emma insisted she could see him clearly. She described him in detail: brown jacket, dark hair, sad eyes. The exact description of the man I'd hit hours earlier. We tried to play it off as Emma's imagination, but things got stranger. During dinner, food would disappear from plates when we weren't looking. Glasses would tip over by themselves. The temperature around that empty chair dropped noticeably. After everyone left, my wife and I talked about what happened. I confessed about the accident, or what I thought might have been an accident. She wanted to go to the police, but what would I say? I hit someone who vanished, with no evidence? We decided to let it go. Big mistake. The next morning, my father called. He'd been in a car accident driving home from our house, T-boned at an intersection. The other driver ran a red light, they said. My father survived, but barely. Broken ribs, punctured lung, traumatic brain injury. And here's the thing. The accident happened at 10:47 p.m., the exact time I'd hit that man the day before. A pattern started emerging. Every few months, someone in our family would have a close call. Car accidents, falls, sudden illnesses. Never fatal, but always serious. Always on dates that seemed to connect back to that Thanksgiving. It took us 3 years to figure out what was happening. Emma, who could still see the man, finally told us what he wanted. "He's hungry," she said simply. "He comes to dinner, but nobody gives him food. He gets angry. That's when bad things happen." My wife thought it was ridiculous, but I was desperate. That Thanksgiving, I set an extra place at the table, served him food, filled his glass, even made a plate that matched everyone else's. Emma watched the empty chair. "He's eating now," she said. "He looks happy." For 6 months after that, nothing bad happened. No accidents, no illnesses. The family felt lighter. But we didn't make the connection until the next Thanksgiving approached. My wife suggested not setting the extra place. "It's been months," she said. "Maybe whatever it was has moved on." I reluctantly agreed. We set the table for our family only. That night, my mother had a stroke. She survived, but lost the ability to speak. The stroke happened at exactly 10:47 p.m. We've set the extra place every year since, and not just at Thanksgiving anymore. Every family gathering, every holiday, every birthday. If we forget, someone pays the price. Emma's 14 now. She doesn't see him as clearly anymore, says he's getting harder to make out, like he's fading. But she knows he's still there, Still hungry, still waiting. Last month, we had a family discussion. My youngest daughter, Sophie, asked the question we'd all been avoiding. How long do we have to do this? Nobody had an answer, because none of us knew if there was an end, if this was our life now. Forever feeding a ghost I killed because I was driving too fast on wet roads. My wife researched it, read every book on hauntings she could find. The theories varied, but they all agreed on one thing. Spirits that linger usually want something unfinished. Resolution, justice, peace. Maybe he just wants you to acknowledge what happened, she said. To face it. So I did. I went to the police, told them about the accident. They investigated but found no missing persons reports matching the description from that day. No hit and runs reported, no body ever found. It was like he never existed at all, except he does exist. In the empty chair at our table. In the cold spot in our dining room. In the bad luck that follows us whenever we forget to feed him. This past Thanksgiving, something changed. Emma told us she could finally hear him speak. He says thank you, she told me during dinner, tears streaming down her face. He says he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He just doesn't want to be forgotten. I looked at that empty chair, at the untouched plate of food, at the glass of wine that somehow emptied itself throughout the night. And I understood. He's not angry. He's not vengeful. He's just alone. He died alone on a wet road, probably never saw me coming, and his last experience in this world was being forgotten, left behind, erased. So now we feed him. We talk to him, even though most of us can't hear responses. We include him in family photos, making sure there's always an empty space where he sits. We've given him a name, James. We don't know if that's his real name, but it feels right. And in exchange, he protects us. The accident stopped. The close calls disappeared. It's almost like we adopted a ghost. But here's what terrifies me. Emma's getting older. Soon she won't see him at all. And I worry about what happens then. When nobody can see him, when nobody can confirm he's still there, will we stop setting his place? Will we forget? And if we do, which one of us will pay the price? If you're driving on wet roads this holiday season, slow down, pay attention. Because if you hit someone and they disappear, they might just follow you home, and they might stay forever. Have you ever had an unexplained guest at your family gatherings? Strange occurrences during holidays? Let me know in the comments. And this Thanksgiving, maybe count the people at your table one more time.